Alright guys, you've joined us on a bit of a wet evening. A bit nippy outside.
Very nippy. Very nippy, if I must say.
This video, we thought we've had quite a few messages of people regarding costs of these cars. Running costs, like buying, spec wise. We just thought we'd do a little short video today just to like sum up all these points.
Basically we're going to give you first of all a bit of buying advice on when you're buying at AMG, what we recommend to look out for. Other things we look for is running costs of the car as well. I mean, we've had a lot of messages, like Brad said, asking, you know, how much it is to run the car, what servicing is like, what insurance is like. Let's get back into the video.
Let's get back into the video. First things first, let's talk about actually buying the cars in general. I think you're best off getting one from Mercedes main dealer. You do pay a bit more of a premium, and you can probably get some from specialist resellers which are a bit cheaper. Terry's, for example, did actually come from Prindville, which you've probably heard of because they actually have a pretty good stock listing.
Let's just say my car was probably one of the cheapest ones.
Yeah, his car was probably the cheapest there. They didn't even care. It was out the back in the garage, like
in a little shed in the back, like, yeah, it's over there somewhere.
Don't care about that. They had LaFerraris in there, like 2.5 million, so they're a pretty a decent garage, to be fair. Mine actually came from Mercedes-Benz Bromley. But mine and Terry's were quite similarly priced, but Terry's got a bit of a better spec on the newer facelift. So, but at the same time, the CLA is more valuable car. There's less of them. They didn't make as much as the A45. Yeah. Like Brad always says, everyone's got an A45. But so common. They don't have the same. See more A45s than you see Fiestas, but now Terry's is a really good spec. So I think you could probably go to like a specialist dealership and get one for like the money you'd want to spend, but maybe a main dealer is a bit too much. One thing, if you're buying you're looking to buy an AMG, you know, you've got some money in the bank. A few things we'll look out for when you're buying an AMG. One of them, if I want to go to it, is if you're going to spend, let's say 25-30 grand or even more on a car, please do not buy the deadest spec you can see for money, because there's so many things wrong with that. Because you're going to buy the car and you're going to be like, oh, that E45 is nice. That's got a spoiler and aero kit. I'm going to buy that. Just don't do it, because it's just not going to be right, and you're going to spend more money than you originally planned to. So what I would say, and I think we both agree, is buy decently. The best spec you can afford, to be fair. Yeah. If you think you can't afford for it, one will come up. Trust me, you will. The thing is, at the end of the day, even if you can't afford it, just maybe a couple of grand more, your payments might be like another £10 a month, say, but the residual value of that car itself is going to be a lot higher in 3 years' time than the one which is like 2 grand less. So just because it's a couple of grand less and it's like your maximum, if you can reach that a little bit further and get one which is a much better spec, or even the facelift one, it's going to hold its value a hell of a lot more. Oh, definitely, yeah. Another thing to look out when you're looking for the right spec car is, like we said, you want to go for the top spec you can afford. I mean, Brad, what would you look for in a car? What did you look for when you bought yours? I wish if I went back I would have looked at the spec a bit better and got one with command. Mine hasn't got command, and I wish I did. I've got a SD card navigation which takes about 5 minutes to load, by which point you're probably already at your destination. So yeah, but command, definitely I would 100% have got that. And really good. I really wanted a sunroof, but the car didn't have the sunroof, but everything else kind of worked, so I went for it. I'd get one with a sunroof if I had the choice again. But definitely get one if you're looking at the A45 or the CLA or even the GLA45s, like full team reg steering wheels, where you've got like the AMG. We'll show you. You've got the AMG. Yeah, the AMG wheels are completely different steering wheels. A bit thicker. Yeah. You'll see there's a central line on there which is a different colour to the rest of the wheel, and it's cut off at the bottom as opposed to being round. I definitely would make sure that you get that steering wheel shape, because that's kind of a bit of a facelift, or maybe not a facelift, but it's an option. It's an option. It's a good option to have. Again, it's one of these things that whoever buys an AMG obviously loves cars in the first place. Yeah. So they're going to look out for that kind of stuff as well. So honestly don't cheap out, because you're going to regret it. You're going to be like, oh, that steering wheel looks decent. Mine and Terry's both had the gear stick, about £500 option, but the other one just looks hideous, to be fair. Can't believe AMG is even in there. It's a little stump. It's only a gear shift at the end of the day, but it makes the car look so much better. So make sure your car has performance exhaust. Yeah. Right. The amount of people that have a like, oh, I've got an AMG, and you look here and the chrome exhaust tips. Nah, I'm not. You need performance exhaust. You're buying a performance car, just the ones go a little bit extra and get a performance exhaust. Yeah, I've heard a CLA45 without the performance exhaust, and it doesn't crack or pop or anything. So that AMG performance exhaust is definitely.
Going off topic from spec, there's the little things I'd look for when buying a car as well, and that is so obviously the car's gonna have a previous owner if you're buying used. Is how they looked after the car. Mileage, I think, is a big thing. If you've got a performance car, which you know people are going to hammer it. No one's going to say, I haven't hammered the car. They've hammered the car.
But these cars are built for that.
They're built for that. So, but 70,000, 80,000 miles.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't risk it unless they've got full service history and you know the stuff's been done to the car.
Yeah.
One thing as well, if I'm buying a car and you see they've got like a upgraded intake, it's been remapped. I think it's going to be hammered too much.
Anything which has been tuned or had like enhanced performance, probably stay away from that.
Nothing against that.
Nah.
It's fine. But if you're buying a car and you know you're planning on keeping it for a while, you don't want something that's been played with already. And
especially if, like for me and Terry, like this is our first proper performance cars. Before this we both had Mercedes CLCs, 180 compressors, so this is quite a big upgrade for us.
Big jump.
And you know, this is like a really special time and a really special car for us, and it may be the best car we'll ever have. Who knows? Like once we get kids and have a mortgage and stuff, it will probably be driving around in something not as good, a Mondeo or something. So yeah, if this is a big upgrade for you and this is the car that you've really wanted for a long time, you're going to want to make sure it's a good spec. So
definitely
don't cheap out on that and get one with low mileage. Make sure that the tyres on it, for example, aren't like budget tyres, because you can just tell that the owner before has cheaped out.
Definitely. Also look at service history, make sure it's done by main dealer.
Yeah.
If you're buying an A45 or a CLA45, you know, it's a couple of years old, it's still going to have manufacturer warranty. But if you've upgraded anything, or the previous owner's upgraded anything on there or gone elsewhere for servicing, your manufacturing warranty is void.
Yeah.
And you know, if your turbo goes, that's $8.5 grand.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for that.
Nah.
I would give the car back.
Money, yeah. I was told by some guy at main dealer that if you don't get your car serviced when you're in one of these PCP plans at the main dealer, it knocks about £1,000 off the residual value. So although you might be saving a couple of hundred by going to like your local garage, like in the long run you're losing out massively. So you know, you want it to be maintained well. The actual finance in the cars, we both toyed with the idea of like financing these cars for so long, bank loans, PCP, leasing. I literally was on my mind for like 6 months probably before I even made a decision, and in the end we've both gone for PCP just because it's like the easiest way.
The thing is, I think
you don't lose out as much.
Yeah, and you don't have to put, say you're lucky enough to have 30 grand sitting in your account, you can literally put £5 grand deposit down in monthly payments, and the other 25 grand you got sitting in your account you can do something else with. You can even reap the payments back on your car by investing your money.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both toyed about it, and we both thought, you know, 30 grand plus into an asset which is going to depreciate, we couldn't justify it. I mean, monthly payments is okay, it seems like a lot, you're paying quite a lot a month, but at the same time, you remember on PCP you don't have to keep your car for the whole amount. There actually is a little thing which they don't tell you about, which is if you pay half the value of the car, you can give the car back to the financing company without any obligations further than that.
Yeah.
So you know,
and technically you can just give the car back whenever you wanted, and they would just set out a settlement fee. So you're not actually in a contract for over 3 or 4 years, which it seems like you might be sold into. You can just, after 6 months, you could just go back and say, look, I can't afford it or whatever.
You want something else.
You want to have something else, so monthly payments are too much, they'll just settle your settlement fee and sort it all out. So it's not like a contract where you're definitely signed in for 3 years and if you don't pay it, that's it, you're going to be like homeless.
No,
that's not the case.
No.
So PCP, I think we just added up, is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
And also with the residual values and stuff, and I don't know when it comes to selling the cars, I don't know what we'll do, whether we'll just give them back or sell them privately. I know a lot of people do sell them privately and then pay the settlement fee off that way. That's probably the better option, like financially. But
no, definitely,
a lot of people just give it back because it's easy. Just give it back, get a new car, that's it, done.
Yeah, I mean that's another benefit of PCP. Whereas if you're buying it privately, you've got all your money in the car, and when it comes to selling the car, you've lost a lot of money, granted, but you've got to try to sell the car at the same time. And who, apart from yourself, if you're lucky enough to buy it, who is going to buy that car for that money?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 20 grand. Not many people have 20 grand in their pocket to buy a second. If they do, then they're probably going to buy something else. Do you know what I mean?
And to be fair as well, like Edward from Bromley, who was in the last video, he's had footballers coming into his dealership to buy AMGs, and they ended up just doing them on PCP, even though they ain't got the money to buy them outright. Why would they buy them outright? The money's better in their bank or elsewhere, probably earning interest, than in a depreciating asset. Whereas on the PCP, your payments are just basically covering the depreciation. And as long as you look after the car, keep within your mileage terms, the residual value I think will probably be higher than what they actually offer you. So
you just got to play it sensibly.
Good buying advice right there.
Yeah.
Play it sensibly, and yeah, don't cheap out on the spec.
Which brings me to a point actually, like you say in the performance cars, these are performance cars. Mine's pushing 381 brake horsepower, that's standard. Brad's is about 360, 370.
360, yeah.
But they are 2 litre 4-cylinder engines. So people are going to be off like, oh yeah, they're going to be bound on petrol. They're not actually that bad.
No.
Or not, if I'm hammering the car and I'm doing, tanking out the motorway 70, tops that, I'm still hitting about 20 miles per gallon, and that's not too bad. On a good run, I'm doing about
20. Yeah.
On a good run, I'm doing about in comfort, and I'm still getting a bit of gas. I do about 33, maybe even hit 34.
Yeah.
But my car's got glide mode.
Mine doesn't have that.
But yeah, but then that's pretty good. Good thing to have. So the petrol's not actually that bad. You'll see yourself going to the petrol station more, but that's only because we have quite small tanks in the.
Yeah, there's quite a small tank. Tax.
It's different, aren't they?
Mine on the CLA45 was £190 for the year.
I think mine's 210.
Yeah, Terry's is slightly more, which is surprising to be fair, because his is newer, and I think his CO2 emissions are actually a bit less. But I'm not too sure as to why is that. But maybe if you're looking between a CLA or an A45, like maybe that 30 quid might sway you towards the CLA45. So running costs, servicing costs. This is a big one. So as we said earlier, if you're in the PCP, you have to get the car serviced at main dealer. The big service, so your service B, that's going to set you back about 600 quid,
yeah.
Which is,
I think I paid 600 £600. Service A is about 300, 350.
300, yeah, so basically half the cost. But they're compulsory almost if you're in PCP. But like I said, you could go elsewhere, but you're lowering the residual value of your car, which is pointless.
Mercedes do a payment plan. Which is about 40 odd quid, and that includes 1 big service and 2 small services. It actually works out slightly cheaper, but you get little extras like a free courtesy car, which is about 30-40 quid normally from them. So that's probably one thing to work out if you want to stretch the costs out, and you're going to plan to have the car for about 3 years. It's worth doing. Yeah,
because you could add that on top of your monthly payments and be like, well, my servicing's all covered, so...
And you've got money in your account
that's it, really. And all you've got to then pay for is tax and your petrol, so...
I'm sitting on P0 Nero GTs, and they cost me 160 quid each, I believe. And that's
what are they? They're 19-inch tyres. Yeah, so probably the cheapest, like, I don't know, like a Dunlop. Mine's got Dunlops all around. That wasn't my choice, that was already on there. I'd probably go for Pirelli Zeros.
You can notice the difference in tyres on these cars as well.
I don't know, Dunlops are probably about 150, but a lot of cars, they'll have, like, if it's rear wheel drive, the wheels will actually be bigger, but on these cars, 4-wheel drive 4MATIC, every single alloy is the same, so you've got 4 tyres exactly the same. So 150 each for the Dunlop, which is probably the cheapest. That's 600 all round. So if you needed 4 new tyres a year because you're doing tracks or you're gunning it everywhere all the time, that's £600. That's another added cost you've got to add on to the factor in. Yeah,
but in general, apart from those costs, there's not much else. I mean, you can own one of these cars, and you can be careful on petrol. And if you're careful on petrol, you're going to be careful on the wear and tear of your wheels. Obviously, servicing is done annually. That's not, if you think in the big picture, 600 quid, 300 quid, it's not a lot of money.
No.
You can make that in a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you saved your money, it's fine.
Yeah. If you're good with money, and
I don't think I've regret bought this car.
No, definitely not. Not a day I'll regret it. The monthly payment comes out on the 7th of the month, and then that day's a bit like, next day happy. So
next day, as soon as you get in the car, you're like, hey, like, we're really happy.
So another cost is obviously insurance. I'm 26. Well, we're both 26. Got 5 years no claims, and my insurance for that car was £700 for the year, which isn't too bad considering the performance. I don't think my old car, the CLC, was probably costing me £450 to £500, so it's only another £200, which is, to be fair, not a lot considering the performance gains in that.
Mine's quite strange. Well, I haven't been driving as long as you. I've been driving for about 4 years. My CLC was about £1,000, wasn't it? And then this was £800 for me, which I thought was a massive jump.
Yeah.
So you actually do recoup some money from the car you probably own at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's
not all bad.
It's not all bad. No, there is saving there to had, and from a performance car, that's perfect.
Yeah.
before I bought the A45, I did. Brad was adamant on buying a 45. He loved the 4MATIC centre side of it.
Yeah.
I really wanted a C63 coupe, and they sound, you know, raw. They're a 6.2 litre naturally aspirated engine.
V8s.
V8s, exactly.
We actually took one out in the last video, so go watch that if you haven't already seen it.
That was the C63S.
C63 coupe still, isn't it?
But you can see,
yeah,
it's a V8. You can see what they're like. But the only thing that put me off that was actually the costs.
Yeah.
You know, some of the guys we know, you're doing 8 miles to the gallon. That is terrible.
Go through tyres like anything rear-wheel drive.
You just spin the hell out of the car.
Yeah.
And the road
They're
tax,
monsters.
what was the road
Completely
tax?
different. The road tax, I think, was about £500.
£500
for a C63 coupe.
Insurance wasn't too bad. That was about 1,200 quid, but for a 6.2 litre.
So still more though.
It's more, £400 more. But I think I personally have made the right choice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. These are much more usable than C63s, or any of the V8, like, you know, supercars or high performance cars out there.
Nothing against them.
No,
they are
definitely. I mean, if I had a lot more money, then I would definitely be in a C63 and not an A45 or CLA45. But
yeah, but you know, you have to have.
Maybe could be next time. But the running costs and everything, these just are quite usable daily cars, which aren't going to cost you too much. So short and simple, I think basically, do it if you want one.
Honestly, would recommend doing it. And if you're going to buy one,
100%.
If you're going to buy one, and say if you're on a budget, and you know you want to spend a certain amount, or go for the highest spec you can, but actually go to a Mercedes dealership and just tell them what your situation, and they'll help you out. If there's not a car there, they have really good buyers, and they will source you one, and you'll work something out. And it's honestly, it's worth it. It's worth doing. The little extras you get from Mercedes as well is pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I think I've learned through the whole process of doing the PCP and everything is that the garages at the end of the day, they don't want to make a sale. So if you go there, tell them your needs, say what you want to pay monthly, say what you want to put down. If they can't quite match it, I guarantee that they'll get back to you like a few days later and be like, well, we've might have found this, or they want to sell. They want to sell you a car. They want you to entice you into the PCP so that you're then with them and you're likely to get another car afterwards. So, you know, they'll work to suit your needs. Like, they won't be like, oh, that's, you know, you're talking stupid, mate, go away. Like, they'll be on your side. So
definitely,
just go and talk to them and, you know,
see what happens, and hopefully we'll see you around and maybe get a feature on Let's Talk About It Instagram. So, you know, thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. We wish there was this video.
This is basically,
when we bought it.
This is 6 months of, like, you know,
ownership
and like advice, and all the forums we've read and advice we've got from other people. This is it all summed up in one video.
Yeah,
you know.
it's definitely. So, what'd you say? Thumbs up for getting a car?
Yeah, definitely.
Sick.
Do it.
Wicked. See you soon.